Hello dear students, today we'll be starting a new chapter of your science, chapter 10, natural resources. Now what is natural resources? To understand this, now first of all we have to know what is a resource. What is a resource? What is a resource? A resource is something from which we obtain benefit. Something which is useful to us is a resource. So, what is a resource? A resource is something from which we obtain benefit. And now, what is a natural resource? Resources that are available naturally are known as natural resource. So, natural resources are those elements or those things which are naturally available and we obtain benefits from them. Those are called natural resources. Resources are things we can use. For example, money, machine and land. Money, machine, these are man-made resources. Land is of course a natural resources. All the natural things we use are our natural resources. Air, water, soil, rock, fuels, plants and animals are all natural resources. So some example are air, water, rock, fuels, plants and animals. These are all found naturally in the earth. So these are the natural resources. So the first natural resource that we will be talking about is our forest and grasslands. Forest, you know, is a large area of land which is covered by trees or plants, and grasslands are large area of land which are covered by grass. Forest and grassland help us in many ways. They give us wood and grasses to make paper. They give us timber, firewood and medicine. People graze farm animals on grassland, and in forest they also collect fruits, root, honey, bamboo and other things on them. Now forest. A large mass of land or large area of land that is covered by trees. This is termed forest. Now what benefit do we get from forest? From forest we get, there are honorable mentions are there. We get, first of all we get firewood. See, those people, those folks who do not have access to natural gas or other fuel substitutes, they still rely upon firewood for cooking and other burning purposes. So from forest we also get timber. Timber, you know what is timber? Means the wood. Timber means wood that is used for making furnitures. We also get bamboo, medicine. Medicine from forest. We get, there are various types of plants that are used for medicinal purposes like neem, neem, eucalyptus and other trees which have medicinal properties. So we use them, we find those trees in forests. And on grassland and much more, not only this, we get honey, right? Honeybees, we get honey from honeybees, and honey are mostly found in the wild, in the woods, in the forest. And okay, paper is made from bamboos which are grown in forest, and grassland. Now right, now see grassland. Now what is the main purpose of the grassland? Grassland is basically used to graze animal. Grazing animals means what? Those herbivores animals, or which are mostly domesticated like cow, sheep, goat, etc., buffaloes, etc. So they are fed on those grassland. So feeding of those domesticated herbivores animal on grassland is termed as grazing of animal. Now one more important thing this forest and grassland do. See, forest is composed of trees, a lot of trees, and grass also. Have a lot of grassland, also have a lot of grassland. So this forest, so these trees and grasses have roots, right? So these roots does what? These roots clings to the soil and it holds the soil together. So when the roots of those plants and grass, they hold those soil together firmly, so they do not allow the soil to erode or to wash away. So forest and grassland does another activity, that is what, does another job, that they hold the soil and prevent soil erosion. Soil erosion means what? When the soil become loose and they flow away from the they move away, or they when the soil become loose, they move from one place and they fall. This is called soil erosion. And the roots of trees and grass, they help to keep the soil together and firm. Now wildlife. The next resource is the wildlife. From the name itself, wild means what? Wild means things that are found in forest, things that are not domesticated. These are known as wildlife. Means what? The lives, the animals. So animals, wildlife include all those animals that lives in forest or in the wild. Or in other words, we can say wildlife means all the animals that we find in our surrounding. Wildlife means all the organisms live in their natural surrounding. So the natural habitat, see, all the organisms have their own natural habitat. Suppose if you take a tiger for example, a tiger's natural habitat means what? Home. A tiger's natural home is a forest. Deer, it's also a forest. Whereas a fish is water and birds are trees, right? So all those animals that live in their own natural habitat are termed as wildlife. So can we consider a domesticated cow as a part of wildlife, or can we consider a pet cat as a part of wildlife? I think not, because they are not living in their natural home. So it includes all the organisms living in forest, grassland, oceans, lakes and so on. So wildlife include all the animals living in their natural habitat, including forest, grasslands, ocean, lake, etc. So we see there are animals that that lives in forest, like most of the carnivore animal like lion, tiger, elephants. Most of the animals we see that they live in forest. Grassland, we see there are animals like sheep, goats, buffalo. They like to graze in grassland. Their natural habitat is grassland. Ocean, in ocean we see a wide variety of organism or animal. There are fishes, seahorse, sharks, whales, corals. They all are found in ocean. In lakes also we see many types of fishes and other living organisms. So these are all the organisms that live in their natural habitat are known as the wildlife. Now how wildlife are a resource? We will talk about that. Some of these, like fishes and those aquatic animals we eat, are those. Okay. Now when we talk about habitat means what I said, home. So those animals who lives on land or whose home is land, they are termed as terrestrial. Those who lives on water are known as aquatic. Those who live on air are known as aerial. Right? An elephant is a terrestrial animal, a tiger is a terrestrial animal, a fish is an aquatic animal, a seahorse is an aquatic animal, a bird is a sparrow is an aerial animal, an eagle is an aerial animal. Aerial organism or aerial. You'll learn about it in your higher classes. Some of those like fish and other aquatic animals we eat are of use to us directly, but even those that are no use or directly are important in maintaining the environment balance. Okay, now how this wildlife is a natural resource. We are talking about natural resources. Since wildlife is naturally found, so it is a natural, and since it is useful to us, so it's a natural resource. Now wildlife. Now let us decode that how wildlife are natural resources. See, many fishes we eat are a part of the wildlife. So we get our food directly from the wildlife, right? We eat a lot of animals, right? We eat fishes, we eat chicken, we eat certain species of birds, right? So first of all, we see that our we are related to wildlife as a part of food chain. Means what? We are dependent on wildlife for food, and at the same time this wildlife play a very important role in maintaining the balance of our environment. Suppose take for example, now a tiger eats deer, a deer eats grass. Okay, now take for example, this tiger has stopped eating the deer. Let us take for example, the tiger has stopped eating the deer. Now what will happen? Once the tiger will stop eating deer, the number of the deers will increase in the forest, right? And when the number of deers will increase in the forest, what will they do? They will start to eat a lot of grass and plants, and as a result what will happen? The number or the amount of grass and trees will be less, will be reduced significantly, and this will have an impact on our environment. So tiger is basically doing what? It is maintaining the balance in their environment by eating the deer. Now another one we take for example, a snake. A snake eats frog eats insects, right? So what will happen if the snake stop eating frog? The number of insects will rise significantly and drastically, and what does insect will do? They will destroy our crop, and they will destroy a lot of things, right? So other way, indirectly we are being benefited from this wildlife, right? So this is how they maintain ecological balance. This is how they maintain balance in our surrounding by keeping a check or keeping a check on each other. So now let us discuss what is extinct and what is endangered. See, humans have they have a tendency, or they have a interest towards hunting, and due to hunting a lot of animals, the number of population of a lot of animal have reduced significantly. So nowadays we are putting our efforts on saving those animals, so they have reduced in number. So let us discuss these two words, extinct and endangered. Extinct and endangered. Now what is extinct? I hope you all have heard about dinosaur, right? Now what is a dinosaur? Dinosaur were a kind of reptiles that lived in our earth a long time back, before even humans were there. So now how do we know about dinosaur? By we found their fossils, we found their remainings, and we have come to know about dinosaur. But we do not see any dinosaur nowadays, right? There are no dinosaurs. So what they have become? They have become fully vanished. There is not a single individual of dinosaur in our earth. So this is the term we used. Extinct means what? When there is not a single individual of any population present, we say it extinct. Now endangered means what? So there are different reasons for extinction. Environmental reason, dinosaur were extinct, have became extinct due to some environmental reasons, and there are maybe other reasons. Extreme hunting can be a reason for extinction, right? Now endangered, when a very few particular kind of organism left in a place or in the world, we say it endangered. Suppose take tiger for example. Tiger. So I think you have heard the slogan "Save the Tiger." Now why the tigers are needed to be saved? Because the tigers population have reduced significantly. Now why the tigers population have reduced significantly? Due to overhunting. So people have started to hunt tiger more, so the population of tiger is reducing significantly, and at the same time deforestation. So what happened? So due to cutting of lot of trees, or due to the area of forest has reduced, which is a natural habitat or home of tiger, since tiger have lost their home, so the number of tiger is also reducing, and at the same time hunting is also playing an important role. Now rocks. What is a rock? You know, you see around, right? The hard, the solid things we see on our soil or on the land, we termed is as rock. Obviously you are right. So rock which you see, there are types of rock, right? So we are not talking about brick, stone, limestone. No, we are talking about types of rock based on its origin. Means what? Based on their formation, how these rocks are formed. So based on their formation, there are three types of rock: igneous rock, sedimentary rock, and metamorphic rock. Igneous rock, sedimentary rock, and metamorphic rock. Now what is igneous rock? Igneous, the term igneous has come from the word ignite. Ignite means what? To burn. So when we burn something, we ignite. So from the term we can understand that the rock that are formed by burning are known as igneous rock. Now who burns or how they are burnt? Are they are burnt in some kind of fire? Yes, but not exactly. Igneous rock are the oldest rock. Igneous rocks are the oldest rock. They are formed when the top layer of molten earth cooled millions of years ago. To ignite means to set fire to something. So igneous means something connected with fire. Igneous rock get their name from the way they are formed by hardening of hot fiery material. Some igneous rocks are formed later when lava from volcano when the lava from volcanoes cool down. Granite. See, if we look at the earth, if we look at the origin of the earth, so earth was a part of sun in the beginning, right? So it was a hot ball of fire like the sun. So gradually the earth started to cool down. So when the earth started to cool down, the temperature of the surface started to decrease, but the temperature of the center of the earth, that is the core, is still very hot, right? So that is what happened. So during that time when the earth started to cool down, the rocks that were formed due to cooling, after cooling down of the earth's surface, these type of rock were termed as igneous rock. So the center of the earth is still hot, and and this heat does what? Due to this heat, there are a lot of molten molten magma inside. Now what is magma? M-A-G-M-A. Magma means the molten rocks or the molten minerals that are present in the inside the earth, right? If you see a volcano, the lava erupts, right? There are eruption of liquid lava. So this lava, when it is inside the earth, is known as magma, and when it erupts is known as lava. So this lava contain a lot of rocks, molten rocks and minerals. So when this rock or when this molten molten lava, they cool down, they solidify, and they form a type of rock. This type of rock are known as igneous rock. See, they get heated, they get molten, and they cool down and they form rock. That is why they are termed as igneous rock, and granite is an example of igneous rock. Now, where do we use granite? We use granite as building material. Granite is used for construction and building purpose. Now, next type of rock is the sedimentary rock. Now, in order to understand what is sedimentary rock, we have to know what is sediment first. So, to understand what is sediment, take a jar of water. Take a jar of water and do what? Put some soil inside the jar, and you stir it, or put some rocks inside the jar. You stir it very well. Stirring means what? Stirring means what? You move the water vigorously with a spoon or something, and after some time, when the water will be still, you will see that there are some particles that are collected in the bottom of the jar. So these particles, or the substance that is collected in the bottom of the jar, are known as sediments. Sediments means what? The leftover, or after breaking down of a larger thing, when the smaller particles are left over, are termed as sediments. So from there you can understand what is sedimentary rock. See, when large rocks or when large bodies of soil are broken down, and the leftover they collect and they form the sedimentary rock. Okay, many layers of sediments from similarly at the bottom of the lake and the sea, they are formed by rocks particles carried by the rainwater. They are also formed by the remains of plants and animals. For example, shells of aquatic animal over millions of years. This sediment get pressed together and form sedimentary rock, sandstone, limestone. Okay, now I have said about breaking of large rock. Now how this rock breaks down? So that break down due to weather conditions, due to adverse weather conditions, like extreme heating and then cold. So due to this the rocks break down, and they also break down due to flow of river or due to flow of water. So they break down and they collect somewhere and they form the sedimentary rock. And some aquatic animals over millions of years, this sediment get pressed together to form sedimentary rock. So some aquatic animals, mostly the shell animal, the animal that have shells or corals, they press down, or due to pressure this animals turn into sedimentary rocks. Now there are two examples of sedimentary rock, that is the sandstone and the limestone. Sandstone are the normally the stone that is made up of sands, right? When due to sedimentation, when sand accumulate, so after accumulation they form a cluster of sand, which due to pressure and which due to heat, they do what? They become very solid and they form the sandstone, right? And limestone, limestone are a type of sedimentary stones that are used for making limes, and that are used for making limes. Limes, the white particle that you see in your house, and which is for painting in the wall, whitewash. This is the lime, which is obtained from limestone, which is a sedimentary rock. Now metamorphic rock. Metamorphosis means change in form. Now metamorphic rock is formed as a result of metamorphosis. Metamorphosis means change in state. Metamorphosis means change in form. When igneous or sedimentary rock get buried underground, they sometimes change into completely different rock. Sometimes what happen, this igneous rock or sedimentary rock, they get buried, means what? They get buried inside the ground, means what? There is a deposition of sediments and other things on above the igneous or sedimentary rock. And what happened to them after a long period of time when they get buried inside the earth? So they turn themselves into a new type of rock. A new type of rock. This type of rock are known as and this happens due to temperature and pressure of the earth. So due to temperature and pressure of the earth, when igneous rock and sedimentary rocks are buried inside the earth, they form a new type of rocks. This type of rock are termed as metamorphic rock. So igneous rock we saw they are formed by when rocks or when minerals are burned due to are heated and melted due to the heat of the center of the earth. Sedimentary rock are formed due to sedimentation, and metamorphic rocks are formed when igneous rock and sedimentary rock are metamorphosized. Means what? When these two rocks type of rock are buried inside the earth, due to pressure and temperature, they take the form of a new type of rocks known as metamorphic rock. Marble is an example of metamorphic rock. Marble you have seen, right? That the rock that was used to make Taj Mahal and other monuments. Now metals and non-metals. So simply in a rough idea or in a broad idea, if you think about metal, we tend to think that metal are something solid and non-metal are something not solid, but actually it is not the same. Rocks are made up of metals and non-metal. Usually these substances are all mixed up together, so it is very difficult to take out any one metal or non-metal from rock, but some rock have a lot of particular metal in them, we call them some. So now first let us identify what is metals and non-metal. Metals, non-metals. Now metals are, first of all, when we talk about metal, we see that metals are hard substance, non-metals are not hard. Okay, means what? Metals will be solid and hard, non-metal will be not solid, and they will not be solid, they will be maybe liquid or they may be in gaseous state, but metals are mostly solid. Next is metal are sonorous. Sonorous means what? Metal produce sound. Now if you take a bell for example, a bell is made up of metal, right? A bell is made up of metal, so a bell makes sound. Any metallic object if you take up and if you hit it against something, it will make a sound. So metals are sonorous, whereas non-metal are not sonorous. Next, metal are ductile, and non-metals metal are ductile and non-metals are not ductile. That means what? Metals can be drawn into thin wires, whereas non-metals cannot be drawn into thin wires. Means what? If you take a metal, you can change its shape and you can make it into a thin wire. You have seen aluminium, copper wire, right? Inside those wirings. So copper is a type of metal. Copper is a type of metal. You have seen wires, right? These are all metal because they can be drawn into thin wire. And metals are lustrous, whereas non-metals are not lustrous. Means what? Metals they shine. You have seen gold, you have seen silver, right? They are shiny, whereas non-metals are not shiny. Next, now what is minerals and ore? Now metals are basically extracted from the earth. Metals are extracted from the earth. They are found from the earth. So metals are a combination. Metals are made up of minerals. Metals are made up of minerals. So they are extracted from the earth. So in order to extract them, we see there are mines. There are miners that dig inside the earth and they extract metal. So they extract from the metal. So metals are mixed with things mixed with metal and non-metal. We say separate them from ores. Okay. So metals are extracted from the earth. So they are not always found in the pure form. They are mixed inside the earth. They are mixed with impurities, darts, and other non-metals. Right. So metals and are made up of minerals, and minerals are extracted from the earth, and they are not found always in the pure form, and when they are extracted from the earth, they are extracted in the form of ores, O-R-E-S, ores. Ores means what? Ores means, ores is a mixture of metal, non-metals, etc. Means what? Minerals and other impurities are togetherly known as ores. So these ores are extracted and they are processed and refined and purified to extract minerals and metals. Iron, copper, tin, aluminum are some useful metal. Some useful metals are iron, copper, tin, mineral. These are some example of metal. Gold and silver are called precious metal. Gold and silver are known as precious metal because they are found in a very less amount, and these are very valuable. So this is why they are known as precious metal, whereas iron, copper, tin, aluminum, they are found abundantly, so these are not that precious. While brass and bronze are made up of mixing together copper and other metal mixture of metal. Now metals, we know it. Now metals, suppose aluminum is a metal, iron is a metal, iron is a type of metal. So these are extracted from the earth, but after extraction, when two or more metals they are combined, they form alloy. So now you may ask question, so what is the necessity of combining two or more metal? It is because when two or more metals are combined, they extend the life of a substance. They extend they increase the durability of a substance, right? So when things are made with an alloy, they extend the durability of certain things. But when they are made with pure metal, they are not that much durable. So some example of alloy are bronze. Bronze. Now bronze you know. So bronze is an alloy, and it is made up of copper, mixing copper and tin. Copper and tin, they are mixed together to form or to make bronze. Next, phosphorus, sulfur and carbon are important non-metals. Now we have discussed about metal a lot. Now let us discuss about non-metal. So some example of non-metal are phosphorus, sulfur and carbon are three important non-metal. Phosphorus, sulfur and carbon. Phosphorus burns very easily, so it is used to make matches. Since phosphorus is has a very high ignition point, means what? It burns very easily, so it is used in matchsticks. Matchsticks, when the black powders that put out fire very easily, so these are made up of phosphorus, because phosphorus, they burn very easily. And another function of phosphorus is that it is very important for the growth of plant. Phosphorus is very important for the growth of plant. It is used as fertilizer. You have I think heard about fertilizer superphosphate, right? Superphosphate contain a lot of phosphorus. Phosphorus is very much important element for plant growth. Plant draw it from the soil. We too need phosphorus for strong teeth and bones. We get it from milk, fish, meat, egg and pulses. So plant get phosphorus from the soil for its growth, and we human also need phosphorus for strengthening our bone and teeth. And what are the sources of phosphorus for humans? These are milk, fish, egg and pulses. So we get phosphorus from milk, fish, meat, egg and pulses. Now sulfur is a yellowish solid. It is used for make medicine. Next is sulfur. Sulfur is a yellowish color, is a yellow color solid. It is used to make medicine. Sulfur is used for making medicine, fireworks, matches and dyes. Now sulfur is used for making medicine. Sulfur is used in medicine. It is also used in matchstick. At the same time, it is also used in fireworks, means what? The crackers. right? They show bright crackers when burned, they display very bright colors, right? So sulfur is used in making fireworks or firecrackers. And dyes means color. It is also used to make liquid acid in batteries. So the the storage batteries or the inverter batteries which you see in your home contain a lot of sulfur, which is used for making acid in the form of, there is an acid known as sulfuric acid. H2SO4. You will learn in higher classes. The sulfuric acid contain a lot of sulfur which is used in batteries. So next type of non-metal we are talking about is all non-metal do not come from rock. Oxygen and nitrogen, two of the most important non-metal, come from air. So carbon, okay, carbon we'll be talking about carbon later. Oxygen and nitrogen, these are more type of non-metal which are gaseous. As we have discussed previously that non-metals are not always solid, they are solid, liquid, or they can be gaseous. Now carbon are found in a lot of things. Almost in a lot of things we see carbon is available. In carbon dioxide, carbon is available. In almost everything. Actually, carbon is the most abundant or most highly found element surrounding us. So everything around us is mostly made up of carbon. Most of the thing actually around us is made up of carbon. So the next natural source we will be talking about is soil. Plant draw water and mineral from the soil. So without soil we could not have food. Many small animals like worms and microorganisms live in soil. So the most important thing for our survival is plant, because plant are the producer of food chain, right? When plant produce their own food, so animals get food from them, right? So suppose a plant, we know that plant are the only thing that can produce their own food due to photosynthesis. So animals eat those plant and some other animal eat those animal. Like so herbivores are those animals that eat plant, and the herbivores are eaten by carnivores or omnivores. Don't get confused. Herbivores are the animals that eat plant and carnivores are those animals that eat other animal, and omnivores are those animals that eat both plant and animal. So we see the plant are the beginner of the food chain. They start producing energy. So if there is no plant, there is no life, right? If there is no plant, first of all we could not get, forget about food, we will not get oxygen and we will die then and there. So plants, where do plant grow? Plant grow on soil and they obtain their minerals from the soil and water from the soil. And many animals like worms, earthworms and many small organisms, they live in the soil. Soil is made up of mostly rock particles. The breakdown of soil is called weathering. So soil is made up of rock particles. Soil is actually made up of rocks. So when these rocks they break down, it is called weathering of rocks. Breaking down of rock is known as weathering of rock. When the soil break down, they form small particles, and this forms the soil. We have talked about sedimentary rock, right? This is how sedimentary rock also forms. Rock become weak and crack because of daily heating and cooling. These roots of the plant grow into the crack. They also break into the rocks with loose pieces of rocks called carried and tumbled about the rainwater. They break into further. This is how soil are formed over millions of years. Now formation of rocks, soil from the rock is not a process that is instant. It took millions of years to form, right? Due to constant heating and cooling down of soil, the rock have broken down, and due to action of water, due to action of rain and rivers, the rocks have broken down and form the soil over millions of years. So where there is crack inside on the rocks, when the rocks or the soil, they become loose, and in this area where the soil is loose, they do what? The trees grow. Soil is kept in place by roots of plant. Yeah. Now why plants are important? So as I have discussed before, the soil erosion. Soil erosion means what? When the soil of one place is blown away, or when the soil of one away is moved from one place to another, is known as soil erosion. But the roots of plant does what? It holds the soil firmly and it does not allow the soil to be blown away. So the roots keep the soil. The roots of the plants keep the soil in place and prevent soil erosion. Fuels. Coals, petroleum and natural gas are the fuels that give us most of the energy we need to drive vehicles, run factories, make electricity, cook food and so on. They all come from under the ground. So the modern life is hugely dependent upon fuels. So imagine, if you think about today's life, we cannot imagine our modern life without fuels. And these fuels include coal, petroleum, what else? Coal, petroleum, natural gas, and etc. Now this coal, petroleum, natural gas are used as fuel, and these are found buried inside the earth, buried inside the ground. So coal, they are used as fuel in our household work, in the factories, in industries, even in automobiles, in cars, ship, plane. So these are used as fuel. Coal is a kind of sedimentary rock. It was formed by plant, dried and got buried millions of years ago. But millions of years, this plant got buried deeper and deeper under the layer, slowly due to pressure, heat, and earth them into coal. Coal is dark from the mass. Okay. Now, how coal? Coal is a type of sedimentary rock. Now, how it is sedimentary rock? As we have discussed earlier, some animals that are buried inside the ground, due to heat and pressure, that turns into sedimentary rock, and coal is one of them. Now, how coal are formed? So, in millions of years ago, when plants got buried inside the earth, they got buried deep inside the earth. So, more and more soil got deposited on the soil, and when more soil got deposited, and they form layer after layer, and this created a lot of pressure on the trees that got buried inside the soil, and due to pressure and heat, these trees turned into coal. And like minerals, these coal are also extracted by mining and digging them from the ground. Now, petroleum and natural gas are often found together under rock. They are from sea organisms that died, got buried millions of years ago. They buried organisms slowly formed a petroleum and natural gas. Because of the pressure, heat underground, we dig deep hole called oil rig to pump to petroleum to form ground. Okay. Now, here we have seen that coal is formed by when millions of years ago trees got buried, and due to heat and pressure they turned into coal. But petroleum and natural gas, they are formed from animals that got buried millions of years ago, and due to pressure and temperature, these animals are turned into petroleum, and from petroleum they are turned into natural gas. So coal is a tree based product, whereas petroleum and natural are animal based product. All right. So now how petroleum are extracted? Petroleum are generally found in liquid form inside the earth. So they are extracted coal is extracted by mining, right? We dig inside and people go and they extract coal. But here natural gas and petroleum, these are extracted by they are extracted by constructing oil wells, and they are extracted by so coal is extracted by mining, and petroleum is extracted by pumping out or extracting out the petroleum by constructing oil well and other oil rigs. This one is extracted, coal is extracted by mining, and this one petroleum and natural gas are extracted by pumping. Petroleum is a dark sticky liquid. It is purified in factories called refineries. Some things we get from petroleum are petrol, kerosene, petroleum gas, diesel and grease. Petrol and diesel are used to drive vehicles, so is CNG or compressed natural gas, liquefied petroleum gas. Fusion kerosene is for cooking. Petroleum is used to make many things like wax, plastic, medicine, cosmetics. Cosmetics are something beautiful. Okay. Now petroleum. Now if we look at this petroleum, from this petroleum we get a lot of product, a wide range of product, like petrol, diesel, kerosene, wax, and a lot more, right? Now how does petroleum look like? Petroleum is a thick sticky liquid. Thick means what? It is very thick, like honey. Sticky also like honey, right? It is very sticky, right? It get sticky and thick, and it is black, and that is why petrol is also known as liquid gold. CNG, compressed natural gas. In here, if you go to metro city, here you will see that there are vehicles that runs on gas, natural gas. Yeah, natural gas is also a product of petroleum. And other products are wax. Wax is used for making candles. Candles. It is a petroleum product. And cosmetic. There are cosmetics. Cosmetic items like you have seen oils and other things. They are a petroleum product. Even the hair oil that you use have mineral oil in them, which is also a petroleum product. Cosmetics are the thing that is used to make skin and hair beautiful. Next is air, the most important one, without which we cannot survive for a couple of minutes even, unless you are an expert in holding your breath. All living beings use oxygen to breathe. All living things use oxygen to breathe, except plant, which is a living being, but it uses CO2, means carbon dioxide, to breathe or to make food. We use oxygen to burn fuels. We also use nitrogen. Okay, we use oxygen. Now if there is no oxygen, first of all we will die because we cannot breathe, and secondly we cannot burn anything. See, for burning oxygen is very important. Oxygen is very important for burning. Without oxygen we cannot burn anything. Now today you do one experiment. Burn a candle. Suppose this is a candle, right? You burn it. You will see the candle will be burning, right? Now do what? Take a glass and cover it like this. Suppose this is the candle. You take a glass and you cover it. So after some time you will see what? The fire of the candle will be put out, because the oxygen that is present inside inside the glass will be used up, and after the oxygen is used, there will be no oxygen and the fire will be put out. That is why we can conclude that for burning anything, oxygen is a must. We also use nitrogen, oxygen and some of the other gas in the air for many other purposes. Nitrogen, for example, to use for filling package, prevent food for getting spoiled. So we use oxygen for breathing. We use nitrogen for, here the use of nitrogen, NITRO, nitrogen. Nitrogen is used for packaging purposes. The chips or other packaged food that you buy from the market, you will see they will have air filled inside them. So these are nitrogen that prevent food from getting spoiled or getting expired. Alright. Now water. We need water for drinking, cooking, washing, bathing, growing crops and medicine. See, water, the use of water, we can talk about the use of water throughout the whole day. Everything starting from your morning, starting from the morning till going to bed, we need water. Be it be cooking, be it be brushing your teeth, be it be drinking, be it be bathing, be it be washing clothes, be it be anything, we need water for our survival. So the sources from which we get water, the rain is the main source. Then we get water from sources like lake, river, ponds, seas, ocean. whereas we see seas, oceans are salty. The water of sea and oceans are saline or salty, which cannot be used for drinking purposes, whereas rivers, ponds and lakes are, not all the lakes, but most of the lakes are fresh water that does not have salt in them, so we can use them for most of the purposes. We cannot use salty water of the sea, but seas are the main sources of rain which renews and supply. So although we cannot use sea water for our purposes, but the sea water are the major sources of rain. See, sea and ocean, they contain a large area of large amount of water of the earth. So this sea water will do what? This sea water, suppose this is a sea, so this sea will contain lot of water. This sea water, due to heat of the sun, this will evaporate and this will go up and form the cloud, and it will rain. The cloud will rain and we will get fresh water from that cloud. But although we do not use sea water, but sea water is a major source for rain, which comes down from the earth, comes down to the earth as a fresh water which we use. So with this, the chapter came to an end. If you read the chapter in your home, if you have any question, mention in the comment section below. Do subscribe to Al Hira National School's channel and click the bell icon so that you get your class update regularly. That's it. Thank you. Have a good day.